issues of NSS, PDF, SML, and that said that the OSP, that kind of backing, probably believing in him that he can help him fight that kind of corruption that he has promised himself to do and to leave a legacy for the good people of Ghana. Now, so that is where my argument is, that if he's enjoying the backing of the president, then it has nothing to do with fear or favor. You must go all out, put your foot deep on the ground and prosecute, your roles and responsibilities, to the admiration of the government and to the Ghanaian people, because you owe Ghana that kind of responsibility. I believe that if you are saying that, lawyer was talking about the fact that he doesn't really believe in him, and that he's putting some kind of decorations around him, just to let people know that he's working. I probably may want to differ from that stand, because probably, in the government that actually appointed him, he didn't really enjoy that kind of support, to be able to prosecute some of these cases. One, because all these cases were cases, that could make the that government very unpopular. All right, and that is another question that we also must ask. That yes, NSS is a legacy of the previous government. The PDS is a corruption, legacy of the previous government, the National Cathedral and SML, right? But what if we begin to witness or we begin to hear certain corruptible activities within this current government? Is the OSP going to have that kind of freedom, that kind of support, that kind of backing, to deal with such issues? All right. Now, as I said, President Mahama, has nothing to lose. And for me, his ability, and his willingness and commitment, to fight corruption even within his own government, giving all state institutions that kind of backing, that kind of support to fight corruption, I think that is something that he would forever be remembered for.
Now, Hetson, how do we deal with these issues?
First of all,
quickly as possible. There's SML.
Yes.
$100 and excess $1 million paid.
I disagree with my co-panelists.
Dr. Tutubuahi, you are saying what he's saying doesn't hold water.
You see, for you to tell me that when you are appointed as an OSP or SP, Special Prosecutor, you need the backing of the president before you can perform, then it means in the first place you should have accepted the appointment. There is no way in the OSP Act that explicitly states that SPs need permissions or the backing of a president before they can act. So it means if John Mahama at a point also decide to withdraw his support, then he becomes incapacitated. Then what sort of SP would we have? The truth of the matter is that he is not competent. The special prosecutor.
No, he took over some issue. Of course, there was Cecilia Dapada, he said, but apart from that, he was frustrated.
Let me tell you something.
Actually, he went to search the house. We all saw what happened.
Give me Ghana for only a month and all these things will stop. I would have fired him immediately. The act that establishes that office empowers him to investigate corruption-related offenses and do what? Recover any stolen wealth for the state. How much has this OSP SP recovered to the state? In the case of the All Africa Games, I, together with Kwame Usudaso, the running mate to Alan Chemate, we petitioned him.
You did?
Oh. Ghani.
Hey.
I went there with journalists, including journalists from your station.
Media General?
Absolutely. I mean, you are the station of the nation.
So what was the end result?
As we speak, if it's today that he's going to invite us, only God knows.
So you have a petition before the OSP?
It is right, sitting right before him. And I'm saying that if this government wants to take issues of corruption serious, it does not lie in their mouth to be relying on this SP. They must go at all length to use their own attorney general to do business. He is so friendly with these people that nothing will happen.
That this is just friendly fire?
Is it the strategy that you're talking about? It's the same thinking that went into the appointment of Martin Alamisi Amidu. That Nana Akufo-Addo and the MPP administration thought they could use someone that belonged to the NDC to deal with the NDC. In the end, Martin Amidu came to tell the world that the mother of all serpents was Akufo-Addo. The mother of corruption. So that he, realizing that he didn't have what it takes to go back and deal with his own people, decided to find ways and means to exit. Get your men, if you believe in the various cases that you have raised, to, as it were, deal with the matters. And once, let me tell all appointees, that once you accept to occupy a position,
a public office, you are there to only apply the constitution of the land and the act that establishes that office. So that you cannot be there and today the president feels that, oh, I am not happy, so change this. And it happens like that. If you were a serious country, the very day that Ken Ofori-Atta said that there was what you call contingency fund and contingency vote, people should have taken him to court. There is nothing like contingency vote under the sun. Go to the Ministry of Finance and everybody will tell you that he only went there to spew obvious lies. At the end of the day, telling that from Mayo Clinic, first class clinic, that he's unable to attend to answer some of these questions. And to the foot soldiers who are, all this that is going on. Last week, you remember, there was this back and forth press conference here and there. What supporters of the new patriotic party wants to do is to shape up sentiments of the grassroots. So that when Ken Ofori-Atta is invited, then the grassroots will go and escort him to the various places. Let me tell you that you that is watching me this morning, when you are sick, if you money to go to a cheap compound clinic, you don't have it. He that was supposed to invest in our hospital facilities, he that was supposed to give money for medical students to be able to engage in further studies to become experts, so that when we are sick, we can attend hospitals in this country, he decided to invest $58 million into a big hole, 1 billion Ghana cedis into SML, a very criminal enterprise. We invested more money into things that this country didn't need. And you want to support this enterprise? No, you must wise up. You must wise up. We have University of Ghana Hospital there, the Bank Hospital there, Kolebu Hospital there, Convanoti there, and so on and so forth. This man that had managed our affairs did not see the need to visit any of it. He went straight to a first-class medical clinic. And that the person that is sick is communicating every day, writing epistles from the US. So, my brothers and sisters watching, and to the new administration, the same measure or rod that we used in tackling the Akufo-Addo administration will be the same measure. It will not be different. And that the sense that I'm gathering at the moment is that people are beginning to be tired of pursuing corruption. Corruption was one of the key issues that you rode on to become the government of the day. So they shouldn't do it.
If they do, I'm telling you, their fire will be different.
If they do what?
If they decide not to deal with issues of corruption. Now they have 2 or 3 issues they have to handle. First of all is the corruption. 2 is the galamsey. That one to their dilly-dally with it.
And the economy?
The economy. A ball of kenke. I remember very well, always on this platform. My own brother Eduji Tamaklo. Good morning, wherever you are. A ball of kenke. Then you will do this. A ball of kenke. A ball of kenke will be showed you.
Right. So we've come to the point where the special prosecutor appointed by the Akufo-Addo administration is now undertaking acts. The question then is, in the public domain, why didn't he do them or undertake those actions at the time when the scandals had been uncovered, etc.? And the reaction is that he didn't have the opportunity or he was being stifled?
No.
Is that what you're saying, Wanda Madigo?
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Governance is a collaboration. Let's not deceive ourselves.
Who's collaborating with who?
I'm saying that all the organs of government collaborate to deliver, governance. We need to be clear about that. This is not a military-style government. where you can take unilateral decisions and get away with it. You know, even in prosecuting this corruption, if due process is not followed, you may end up, you know, getting a criminal free. Suppose criminal free. Yeah, because our laws are not only laws, they are also processes to follow. And some of those processes, if you don't, they can throw the case out of court. And that's why I said it's a collaboration. The judiciary, the legislature, and then the executive on one hand. Indeed, yeah, indeed, I agree that some level of urgency must be brought to bear on this matter. So some of which we are all advising government to take up. And that urgency, again, is the political will, the political, you know, backing for these things to happen. You see, even though Lamisi Matinamidu was very strong and wanted to prosecute this, what happened in the end? He resigned. Did that serve Ghanaians good? No. Did we benefit from the reason for which he was appointed? No. Why? Because he claims he was hounded out of office. He even claimed that the former president, President Rawlings, was his sole confidant. And just after, you know, His Excellency, former President Rawlings had given him his backing, then the following week, he died. You understand? There were some speculations about that as well. So if you do not collaborate, if you do not let the organs work, and you do not allow the systems to work, you can hit a snag in the court. What we are looking for is not to hit a snag in the court. It is not to end up in the court and be thrown out. It is for the resolution of the matter, the punishment for those who are involved in the matter. And for us, I think that we should dot the I's and cross the T's on this process, so that we don't hit a snag in the end. Now, again, talking about Kisei Jabin, why I have confidence that he's likely or would deliver is because of his current posturing. If you look at, under the past government, he could not even do press conferences.
No, he did.
When he did press conferences, he came to complain.
Do you have the insert? The Ankwa Numa insert?
No, that was the beginning when he was appointed. After when the job began.
That was last year.
No,
he told them that he was the conscience and the eye of the nation.
And I'm saying that he had another press conference after that. What did he say? Let's listen to his last press conference when he said he was a lone ranger. When he said that he was,
he's not going to say the same thing again.
So I doubt, because he now has a backing.
So you're saying that the current posture of the special prosecutor gives you hope?
Yeah. Now something is curious. When he took on Cicely Adapa, who was one of the defense counsels for Cicely Adapa? Do you remember? Understand. Government itself took a center stage on the matter, to the extent that they haven't referred the matter to Iyoko, while the OSP was investigating. That's what I'm saying. That if you don't have the collaboration, you don't have the political backing, you don't have the political goodwill to pursue some of these things, you can easily hit a snag. And I am only questioning that we should give them the political will to do it. I'm not saying that we should hold on with investigating. I want them to be punished. I want some of these things to be resolved. In fact, I'm just disappointed that the party is not in the mix of all these scandals we are investigating. One of the ones we have to investigate first is Cicely Adapa's case. How that an individual without any job, without any work, a dead man, is sending millions of dollars to somebody's account, you know, when the person is still dead. These are issues we need to invest, but this one borders directly on the character of the people we appoint into office. The other ones may have to do with their office and their operations, but this one, we need to be able to go into that. Those are the things that will give us confidence. It is the same thing that will ward off people who have criminal intent and want to get into government. And for me, I am for all the investigations that are required for these things to come to an end. We need it. People need to be punished for the activities they engage in that impoverishes this country, that put this country in a bad light, that make people suffer, that make us lose money and all that. And I'm all for it. And I believe that my government, the NDC government, is all for that. You just heard Johnson Seydou said that nobody involved in any of these scandals will go scot-free. Because now we are at a point where the government, the party, and everybody, and Ghanaians are also wishing and waiting and ready. These things are punished in our law courts. And we need to see an end to this.
What's your own insight into this? What do you want to see, let's say 5 months into the administration, now that these things have started?
Yes, I want to see finality brought to some of these cases that the president has expressed desire to fight or to probably investigate and then bring perpetrators to book as it may merit. But you see, for me, the fight against corruption, it goes beyond normal rhetorics. it's not about we will fight it, we will investigate and all that. Time is equally of essence. And for me, if the SP is enjoying the backing and trust of the current government, that is good for him. But it is equally a point for us to know his capabilities and abilities, and how he probably may want to also deliver, his responsibilities. Obviously, state institutions have suffered to a large extent in terms of their independence, where politicians, sort of mingle with this independence, and then they don't make them effective. All right, and the office of the special prosecutor is one such case. I mean, we've referred to Martin Amidu, and of course, Kisia Jabin has talked about the Ankwanoma, issue, indicating that he's a lone ranger and didn't actually enjoy the support, of anybody. But again, I may agree with lawyer on what he said about.
I'm not a lawyer.
Sorry. Okay.
Association.
I don't want any.
Okay. So, Mr. Piadanka, right?
Solomon.
I understand you.
Okay. Solomon, okay. So, as Solomon said, the first thing remains that he needs to demonstrate his independence and strength. Obviously, if you are appointed to offices of such nature, to head institutions of this nature, you need to demonstrate that kind of strength and independence.
Okay.
But you see, mostly apart from the political interferences and influence, the man is also thinking and protecting his job to some extent. I mean, you've been a lecturer, you've been practicing, and you know the amount of money you were getting and the amount of money you are getting now. Sometimes economic issues, economic analysis. So it makes you more protective as against, sort of, guarding against your independence and all that. I think that Kisia Jabin is beyond protecting his office, and he should be a man of himself.
Well, he has been. We'll see. Now that he has been, we'll also just suppose that with his comments during his last press conference, or the press conference before his last. So we have a couple of comments as we prepare also to apprise you of that. I have Nia Atukwe Kwe. He says, we need to make sure that the right things are done. Now, Abu Gri Kletu Saibo said, when it comes to all the issues that need to be done, investigations should come with result. Money also says same. And then also, Yesuto says the AG should hurry up with the case of that DS Madam. That national service money must be retrieved ASAP. And, there's another comment that I thought was also quite interesting. Let me see whether I can get that. Somebody says we should, Sami Frank Bachman says, Roland, please, why is the train money? Which train money is that? Will be...
Yeah, 2 million.
The Sky Train.
Yeah,
Sky Train.
Yeah, $2 million.
Okay. Okay, then Christina Kosho also sends us a message. Now let's also say that we have cash out, goes with the Shawku star 439 hash. Before we wrap up, we'll also be looking at some of the best insights for all that. Please choose option 2 and then increase the number of stakes you have for cash out star 439 hash. And as you do that, you become one of those lucky winners when we do each of the draws. So this one is coming from Osemen Sabunsu, who says that, look, the things that are happening, Ken Oforiatta is on his own. Still, DMB, it is possible. All right. And then Justice Awute also says that I'm enjoying the program. We're grateful. Bachman, Mr. Bachman also sends us a message. If President Mahama fails to tackle corruption decisively, our democracy will crumble, institutions will weaken, and the people's trust will be lost. We cannot sit in silence. Citizens must rise, speak out, and demand accountability before it is too late. We have also Boating Ej from Mampong, who says that I'm watching the program, and I have to say this, that if the expenditure and then the directions or the authority of the former finance minister were issued to deal with, it must be dealt with. But the way the special prosecutor went public and then declared that he was a fugitive is not the best way to treat a public officer. I don't know what Solomon will say about it. Maxwell Akpabli also says, the little I have to say this morning is that everyone involved in any corrupt act in the erstwhile Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led MPP must be investigated and subsequently prosecuted. And, well, Mr. Sampiyale, good morning, Ambassador, says, using contingency fund to build the National Cathedral simply amounts to using the office petty cash to build an office complex. All right. Now, very important as well, we need to go on to issues about the conflict, the Bawku area, the current ongoings over the last week or two, a number of issues with attacks on the Wale Bawku stretch. And security executive director of the African Center for Security and Counter is joining us. Counter-terrorism is joining us. So, Executive Director of African Center for counter-terrorism. And thank you for joining. What's your latest observation on the recent attacks on the Wale Bawku stretch?
Well, Bawku, thank you for having me, and very good morning to your cherished listeners. In fact, the current situation with the Wale curfew indeed highlights several critical issues in conflict management. First, the lack of consultation with local representatives. And you recall that the MP for the area did indicate that he was not consulted. And that undermines community trust and cooperation. You know, the conflict in Bawku and what is happening in Wale is quite sensitive. So we must kind of refrain from sensational reportage and look at the real issues. When I heard it, indeed, I tried to reach out to my friend, Dr. Tia, and his lines were not going through. And the mutual friend told me he was in the United States with the former vice president at a conference at Harvard. So I think the media, you need to look at it and we ascertain whether indeed he was consulted or otherwise. And we must refrain from this kind of political charge languages because it doesn't help the situation on the ground. Second, the selective application of security measures, to me, it risks creating new grievances. If you look at what has happened over the period, I think successive government has applied the same medicine to the wrong sickness. And that is why we are having the unending cycle of violence, especially within the Bawku enclave. Don't forget, Bawku is the gateway of Ghana to the Sahel countries. And if you look at what is happening in the Sahel countries, if we don't contain the conflict in Bawku, it could risk spilling into other things. I don't want to believe that what is happening in Wale now, the attacks is primarily the indigenous who are doing that. It could even be the case that criminal gangs are hiding and taking advantage of the security gaps and doing what they are doing.
Now, Mr. Kutin,
and yes,
there's a considerable concern being expressed by some citizens, notably of the area, who are saying that the curfew that has been imposed by government should ideally not be within the period that it has been, and that the attacks that have been witnessed so far have occurred during the day. And so the night curfews tend to stifle maybe growth, nightlife, night economy of the various Kusau, Mamprugu community, so to speak. Do you think they are right?
In fact, I have not been a true advocate of curfews in resolving conflicts. I think I've always maintained that curfews are normally stopgap measures to restore law and order. But the military heavy-handedness approaches is what some of us are concerned about. Because when you use military heavy-handedness without corresponding diplomatic efforts, it often proves very counterproductive. You realize that when the curfew was imposed, they impugned political motives, and the regional minister's vehicle was even vandalized. So I think that we must have broader consultations.
Okay.
And in the case of Waluwale, that was where the epic center was. The curfew shouldn't be a permanent listing on the citizens. It should be a stopgap measure, like I mentioned. And when law and order is restored, they can kick in the other mechanism. But Roland, what government needs to do as a matter of agency is that, you see, this conflict has pre-independence arrangements, and subsequent political intervention have created layers of competing claims to traditional authority. So you realize that each political era since independence has attempted different approaches, from legal intervention to military solutions. And yet the conflict persists. So this suggests that any new solution must transcend previous approaches whilst acknowledging their lessons. I've seen that many people are calling on the Otunfo to lead the charge, and I feel that that could be counterproductive if we don't lay the foundations. And what are the foundations? We need to have constitutional reforms, and I dare even say that we must have traditional authority recognition.
Okay.
And my proposal is that we can develop a dual recognition system that acknowledges both the Kusasis and the Mamprisi traditional leadership, such as within their respective jurisdictions, you understand? And this approach can create a parallel but equal authority structure, each with clearly defined rules and responsibilities. And the success of similar systems in other African countries as a peace builder, I can cite several examples. If we are able to do this, and we look at the economic development strategy, then we look at the educational reforms and institutional framework, then we can bring the Otunfo as an eminent chief who both feuding factions will have confidence in him.
All right. Mr. Kutin, thank you very much. And the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism, Mr. Kutin, Emmanuel Kutin, helping us there with those short discussions on the issues when it comes to the attacks, etc. And, well, Solo, this has to be resolved, right? A curfew is one thing. Of course, it's a stopgap measure. But at the end of the day, you look at what has transpired over the last couple of years, where we are, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and I believe that people in authority must be firm. You see, this business of introducing politics into our chieftain's issue is what is creating all these problems.
Why? What happened?
The point is that there is an existing chief or overlord in Bawku, is that okay? Abogrago. Now, a new person is installed as a Bawku Naba. So it's a clear case of one is wrong and one is right. Who has been gazetted? If we know this, we don't have to dilly-dally with it. Straight away, the rightful person that must occupy the Bawku Naba palace must be the one to be protected, and the other one declared as a fugitive. You get my point? This one is not ifs and offs. And those that are killing, these are criminal matters. It does not call for negotiation. I'm very surprised that we are treating criminals as though they are people that must be pampered. The whole of that enclave is not as big as you can have a crime, so that you cannot have intelligence to identify perpetrators of this. Then why are we paying the national security, the NIB or whatever, the regional police, the military, and so on and so forth? It means there is no intelligence gathering, and that is why every time people are being killed on the road. If it continues like that, both the regional commander of police together with his other security agencies must immediately be fired. We cannot have these men around and still people are dying every day. And for me, it has to be a way of dealing with the matter.
So the government has imposed a curfew, etc.
Yeah,
but we're told that this is a trail coming from, these are reprisals, so to speak.
Yeah,
so even though it's happening in Wale, but...
Yeah, if you look at the whole conflict by itself, it's necessary that there's a curfew now. Now, why should...
Even though it's been disputed?
Well, for me, I think that one of the ways to calm tensions in this chieftaincy conflict and all that is to have a common ground where you deal with the issues. And a lot of this have happened in the evenings, in the night. And what you don't want to do is to allow, because in the night, even security officers are also scared of their lives because they can't see very far. Visibility is not too good, and people are, so
you're supposed to rein in and check movement.
Exactly.
So that people don't regroup.
And arms are actually transported at night. That's the basic fact. None of the armed gangs, move arms in the day because you'll be checked. The police are on the road and all that. But in the evening, they're able to sneak in. So some of these things are to correct that. I'm only disappointed at the MP, who is supposed to have known better. When the regional minister's car was attacked and all, her life was under threat, all he could say was that this thing is politically motivated and that the curfew was politically motivated and all that. Today is the regional minister, tomorrow it may be him, and he may not even have somebody to
relax on that. Relax on that.
Kabiru, the vice president, the former vice president's aide, Kabiru.
He's the MP.
Yeah, but that's his aide. He's still his aide. He hasn't, changed allegiance yet. So I'm very worried because you see, these are national issues.
I think that we should get it straight.
No, he's my very good friend. Surprisingly, he's my very good friend.
No, I understand. For you,
but I'm saying that
you have said you are friends with everybody.
Yeah, no, friends with everybody doesn't mean that you should go and steal. I mean, I'm not a thief, and I don't expect you to steal. I mean, good friends behave alike, and so when you steal, I disown you. But I'm saying that he needs, I expect him to have a better understanding of this security arrangement. It is actually for your own good. If there's no Wale, you can have a seat.
So you're saying comments by politically exposed persons are critical in resolving
Exactly. Because once you make this look political, then we're losing the fight.
All right. Dr. Tutu, we're here because it's a chieftaincy issue, a very straightforward issue, but it's also delicate. That's why. So we have criminal actions that have been undertaken for which law enforcement is important. We also need to do peacekeeping. At the same time, there are instances and events that are now fomenting the troubles or compounding the conflict. So it's a very nuanced issue, very complex. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do agree.
What's your passionate appeal to the key stakeholders?
Yes, so I think that there has been a call on the Otunfuo, to help in these matters. But what I may want to add is that, again, other well-meaning traditional leaders, with that kind of clout image, should also complement the effort of Otunfuo. I think that, again, the political will should be there, to deal with this issue. Because obviously, when you look at the strategic nature of Bawku and again, Wale, we cannot discount the fact that if this issue is not managed well, it will escalate into something, that we cannot probably handle in this country. I also feel that, again, there have been accusations and counter-accusations with the way the whole process, has been approached. The methodology behind it and all that. I feel that, yes, I will agree with the man you interviewed, that, stakeholders within these jurisdictions, should be consulted and to be made part, of the process. You cannot, focus on Bawku and then leave Wale, out of it. Because, you see, when we check the ethnic, issues in there, you will see that the Kusas and then the Mamprusis, are in Bawku, and they are also in Wale, and its environs. So it is a bit complex dealing with the issue in Bawku and then leaving Wale out. All right, and probably that is the reason why the curfew, was also imposed on Wale. But I feel strongly that we need to bring all efforts together and probably take away the political bit of it. Because when you look at the history behind these crashes and these atrocities, the political undertone seems to be, emerging, and it is gradually taking over, whatever effort that is there to be made. So I think that some of these things, the government, once the government has expressed the desire to bring an end to this, conflict out there, there shouldn't be a situation where one party feels cheated and one party feels that I have, undue advantage over the other party. Fairness should be ensured. And I think that the best approach should also be adopted to ensure that, everything comes up well.
All right, we have to wrap up now. We still have cash out, *439#. You choose option 2. And for those who are watching on our stream, we encourage you, choose option 2, increase the number of tickets you have. EBT Eku says, I agree with Solomon Owusu. And then a clarification came in. Nasser Muhammad says, or Nasser, Solo is on point. How can you be petitioned and you don't even respond? So Solo is right. The man is not serious. Julie Belinda Obri also sends me a message. And Ni Atukwekwe says, just a name calling. And they are crying. Do they know how haircut felt like? I don't know. Which one haircut? Or is it the... okay. The economic haircut. Sami Frank Backman says, Roland, I was asking about the accident train. Where is it now? Okay, I think it must have been repaired by now. I think.
At what cost?
There's now a new. So we'll go and find out where the accident. Mama War is also watching us from the Asokli. Good morning to you, Mama War, wherever you're watching us from. And then importantly, Prince Henry in Kofodia said Ghanaians must trust the president and his administration to do that. Dr. Salif will come back to see you. Good morning to you as well. Jay Nkansa. Is texting me from just so good morning to you, Jane Cancer, and for all those who are Dr. Cosmos, I also see you, and then also Nabuo. Now let me read this last one. This one is coming from Elliot Wugbe. Good morning to you. The previous government left behind a trail of corruption and scandals that have crippled the economy while enriching a select few from PDS, SML, NS, and many more. Billions meant for national development siphoned into private pockets, leaving Ghanaians to suffer the consequences of the economic hardship. Thank you very much. You want to give what shout out? No shout out. I gave you all the opportunity you couldn't. And for all those who keep watching, please cash out. Choose option 2. Increase the number of tickets as many times as you can. And then when we do the draws, you become very lucky. Because it's I know that after January, many of you have already spent all the monies, but now you're recouping. So as you're gathering stees, it also means that you have to become one of those. And who's the shout out for?
They're very hardworking staff of Asokori Ahmadiyya Hospital, and I really want to wish them. Yeah.
I don't know what you're interested in, because you took us to Asokori Ahmadiyya. That's Asokori Mampong.
Yeah, producing health
services.
As
a Wasin constituency. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. Thank you, gentlemen.